Okay. Thank you, committee chairs. My name is Sam Fieldman, and I'm here to testify today on S-2163 and H-3208. I got into this fight, the We the People Act. I got into this fight when my wife was pregnant with twins. Last year, they testified with me, and I've promised them that they will inherit a democratic nation, and I intend to keep that promise. We've been working on this for too many years. The opposition to the use of the Article 5 Convention to restore free and fair elections has yet to ever cite a single peer-reviewed source that says that a resolution like the one that we're calling for could possibly lead to an amendment on another topic. They cite political statements and opinion pieces, but no scholarly research. I expect they'll probably cite an op-ed by an environmental law professor later today, but not actual peer-reviewed research. My written testimony goes into much more detail and cites the American Bar Association, Department of Justice reports under both Reagan and Carter, many peer-reviewed scholarly research sources, the book that Representative Gentile recommended, Constitutional Brinksmanship, the Congressional Research Service, and many others. And those go through several theoretical tools that explain why people believe that the convention is intended to be limited. But what's much more important than those theoretical tools is the practical tools. And we're here right now talking about the first of those practical tools, which is the actual convention call itself. The convention call includes explicit limitations that ensure that it can only be counted with the other 5 states that have already called for convention on this issue. Massachusetts already has several convention calls on the books. So this does not do anything to change the number of states that are calling for a convention. This does not do anything for or against the Convention of States, which is also here today, or any other topic. It just adds one more to that pile that's currently at 5, calling for restoring free and fair elections. States also have direct control over their delegates, which we've exercised in the 2 other types of conventions that are in the Constitution, the Article 7 conventions. To ratify the Constitution itself, states exercise direct control of their delegates there, and the Article 5 ratification conventions that were used to ratify the 21st Amendment to repeal prohibition. There were also specific statutes exercising direct control of the delegates there. And of course, states have the ultimate check, which is the ratification process. We need the extremely high bar of 38 states to ratify anything that comes out of a convention. There's also an important role that Congress has to play, which is that they have 2 roles. First, they're counting the convention calls, and they're counting them right now. Both Democratic and Republican Congresses have proposed rules for counting convention calls, and they are counting, even though there's more than 39 states now, we don't have a convention because they're counting ones on different topics separately. And then they also have the possibility of sending them on for ratification, which they won't do if it violates their rules. There are many additional protections in my written testimony that you can see in more detail. The other bill that I'm here to testify on is the Convention of States bill. On that, I'm testifying neutral. I'm neither for nor against that. Wolfpack is single issue. But what I do want to point out is that however you vote on the We the People Act, it should have no bearing on your position for or against the Convention of States issue. You should vote for that solely based on policy. What I expect that you're going to hear a lot from the opponents of both types of convention calls are a lot of out-of-context statements. And included in written testimony that I have are one-pagers that explain the positions and the out-of-context statements for Professor Lawrence Tribe, Antonin Scalia, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton. Those are all available at wolf-pack.com/tribe, Scalia, Madison, and Hamilton. You can see on there the statements that are often attributed to Antonin Scalia, where it's claimed that he opposed the convention call. That's out of context, and you can see the full video by going to that link. What he actually believed about the convention call, and this is what he said about the chances of a runaway convention. Just as it is possible that Congress might pass a law eliminating Christmas, such things are possible, remotely possible. And this is what Professor Tribe said about those who use his words out of context. He opposed specifically the balanced budget Article 5 convention call. He said specifically that he did not oppose convention calls on other topics. And he said about people who take his words out of context, I would also very much object to someone who said that because I don't know the answers to all of the questions of an Article 5 convention, I would oppose ever having one. And that's why I made it very clear I don't take that view. So I urge you to look at the words of, as well, James Madison. James Madison had expressed opinions on many different types of conventions, and that makes it very easy for people to take his words out of context. People cite his views on the kind of convention that was had in Philadelphia and on having a convention instead of ratifying the Constitution, and also his opposition to particular Article 5 convention calls. But as he said in 1787 and 1799 and 1800 and 1820, he was very much in favor of using the Article 5 convention process. He called for its use for what he referred to as an explanatory amendment in 1799 and 1800. Alexander Hamilton, who some people, I don't honestly know where they get the idea that he opposed the convention call. The first use of the convention call was to obtain the Bill of Rights. It has been used for the Bill of Rights, the 17th Amendment, 14 out of the 27 amendments that we've had. It has played some role. The person who called for its use for the Bill of Rights was John Jay, working with Alexander Hamilton. And so I urge you to vote for the We the People Act and however you decide based on policy on the Convention of States issue. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.